Hey, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the 2023 South Carolina American Legion Senior Baseball Championships here from beautiful Florence, South Carolina, home of the Francis Marion Patriots here in Sparrow Stadium in a beautiful complex that really looks state of the art, but hard to believe it's actually a decade old. Appreciate you making us a part of your Friday afternoon. I'm John Turner, our voice of Fort Mill Post 43 seniors. To my right is the voice of the P45s from beautiful Inman, South Carolina, the town that Elton Chapman built. That would be the one and only Mr. Justin Mathis. And Justin, appreciate you coming on the broadcast today and doing this game. We really do appreciate it, and can't wait to get your insight on Inman. If you've watched them all year long, you know the ins and outs of Coach Skinner's group. A very powerful group, a lot of crooked numbers, but some really good pitching and great defense, which is interesting because when you look across the way at Camden, who is the opponent today and is the home team in this first game, it's basically like looking in the mirror.
Yeah, and for Inman, I mean, this has been an interesting season for them. First of all, they started off the season without Coach Skinner ha- being unable to be present at most of the games this year for medical reasons, and we're not going to dive into that. But look, he's been able to make his return in his 44th season at the helm for post 45 baseball. Um, and Inman is trying to do something they've never done, John, and that's win a state championship. They've been playing baseball since the mid 50s for Inman Post 45 and just have not been able to bring home that shiny trophy just yet, but they're hoping that they can get back on the right track today and be able to do something that no one's ever done.
And that could be, you could see history made in this ballpark this weekend. That certainly can happen. We've always had surprises. Every year, something happens in this state tournament, something that no one sees coming, something no one's thought of. It just rises from literally nowhere and surprises everyone. So Camden and Inman coming into this game today, both teams fighting for their lives. This is an elimination game. I know that sounds weird because it's technically day one, but it's really not day one of the state tournament. We've already played some games in the state tournament. And so Camden and Inman, unfortunately, the loser of this game, we'll call it a season, unfortunately. These are two really good teams. That would be a shame, but unfortunately, that is the way the ball does bounce. So they're going to do some introductions on the field. They're going to have a prayer. They're going to do the code of sportsmanship and then the national anthem. So we will put you fine folks to the side and come back to you. And really do appreciate y'all listening in to the 2023 state tournament, the senior state tournament here at beautiful Sparrow Stadium in Florence, South Carolina. Yeah, be back in just a minute. So, if I understand correctly, they'll do the code of sportsmanship, and then we will play some baseball down on the field just a little while ago. Justin, it was a very unpleasant 92 degrees
Whew.
on the surface. I can only tell you the ambient temperature is they're going to say a prayer. So, back in a moment. In a short prayer. So, thank the Lord for this day, and thank you for Coach Skinner being here.
Yes.
Because, like you said, has not been in the best of health, but he is here today, and he's got that fire in his eye. I know he's got it in his belly. He's ready to go. I saw him before the game. He was not pulling punches at all. He was basically saying, "Listen, we're here to do a job," and you could tell. I think it kind of was weighing on him. Hey, this is another opportunity to do what you just said a minute ago. That's make history and bring home a state championship back to the fine town of Inman, South Carolina. Now, these guys to our right in the all white jerseys with the green letters, been there, done that, worn
Yeah.
that T-shirt. You're looking at the defending Southeast Regional champions in Camden, South Carolina, even though Rock Hill is the defending state champion in the South Carolina American Legion Seniors. So there's the ceremonial first pitch of the ball game that was just a bit outside, as we'll probably see that a lot. 3-man umpire and crew. But Justin, let's talk about the visitors. That would be your boys from Inman. What's the starting lineup look like?
Here's how the starting lineup, slightly different than what it's been most of the year. Leading off in center field, number 8, Luke Compton, followed by second baseman, number 3, Jaron Metcalf, batting second. Batting third, Johan Rodriguez, number 10, who you just saw catch the ceremonial first pitch for Inman. He has been splitting time with Hudson Wilson. That's the beauty having more than one catcher on the squad who is really good. You can alternate and keep both of those guys fresh. Batting cleanup, the man on the hill for Inman, number 11, Corbin Childers, followed by first baseman, number 16, Caden Roach in the 5 spot, followed by first baseman, number 16, Caden Roach in the 5 spot. Batting sixth, third baseman, Hudson Wilson, number 7. Batting seventh, number 4, the shortstop, Perry Dyer. Batting eighth, number 9, Ricky Montalvo. He's in right field. And batting ninth, the left fielder, number 5, Kason Owens. That's your starting 9 for the Inman Post 45 Baseball Club.
And we talked about Coach Skinner, but he has a staff that's basically renowned in that part of the upstate of South Carolina. They've been with him for a month or 12. We just actually saw one of the assistants come up. He said he's been with Coach Skinner for 28 years. He must have started when he was 7. I guess that was allowed back in the day, but he didn't look like he was old enough to have been with Coach Skinner for 28 years. But tell us about the rest of the staff for Inman Post 45.
The gentleman you're referring to, Mikey Hall, has done a wonderful job as Inman's athletic officer. Always done well helping me do my job as both a broadcaster and a writer, helping me be able to do my job in an efficient manner. And I'm very appreciative for that. And also thankful for his help, helping us gather information for this broadcast.
Yep.
Also on the staff, we have Mark Lyon, who's at home plate right now, taking part in the lineup card exchange. Mark Lyon, name might ring a bell from the college ranks. He coached at Wofford once upon a time in baseball.
That's correct.
Led the Terriers from 1986 to 1995 and compiled quite a resume there. He's served in administrative roles after that at Wofford, but is currently an assistant coach for the upcoming Wofford softball program, which is about to make their debut next spring. So that's Luke Johnson also helps for Inman. He's a first base coach, also helps with some of the hitting. Jake Cothran, a pitching coach as well. So, I mean, quite the staff Inman has with him. Luke and Jake are both former players for Coach Skinner.
Which just reinforces the point. He's been around for a month of Sundays. So that's Inman Post 45. Let's talk about Camden Post 17. Again, the defending Southeast Regional champions for sure. Under the direction of head coach Stephen Carmen, he's assisted by Justin Dorton, Randall Vickroy, and Brady White. They look like this. Leading off at shortstop, number 1, Kobe Evans. Batting second and left field be number 4, Camden Watts. Batting third, the designated hitter, number 24, Jacob Morris. Batting cleanup at second, number 3, Zane Cateau. Batting fifth, third baseman, number 6, John Rawlings. Batting sixth in center field, number 11, Carson Weathers. Batting seventh, the catcher, number 7, Macon Leopard. Batting eighth at first base, number 23, Patrick Daniels. And batting ninth in right field, number 14, Luke Duncan. On the mound tonight or this afternoon for Camden Post 17, it will be Ben Blackwell, number 22. Now, he is a decorated young man in and of himself. If that name's not familiar to around the state of South Carolina, he's not that big of a guy. He's listed at 5'10", 180. I think that's being a little generous, but he is a Blythewood Bengal. I have seen him more than a few times. He is a crafty left-hander. He's going to stick it in your face, and when you get that all over you, here comes the breaking ball. But he's going to back foot right-handed batters all day long. And if this home plate umpire gives him that inside corner at the bottom of the zone, it will be a long day for Inman Post 45. But with the shoe on the other foot, I've also seen Corbin Childers a lot over the years because Fort Mill High School used to be in Region 3-5. Childers quite a bit. He's a bulldog, both literally and figuratively.
Yes, he is.
He is just he's not going to give it to you. You're going to have to grind and scratch and claw and bleed for every single thing that Corbin is going to give you. So if this one goes into the third or fourth inning and there's no score, don't be surprised. That's not going to be a shock to anybody because that's just how these two pitchers are going to be. Now, their arm slots are different. That's going to be something that both of these teams are going to have to get used to. Something else they're going to have to get used to is this spacious ballpark. Folks, it is 58 feet from home plate to the backstop, which is a padded backstop. But there is 6 inches of concrete underneath that padding, and it's an artificial surface from left side of the home plate area down the first base line. The ball's going to skip across that artificial turf. It's going to hit the warning track, and it's going to bound against that padding and against that wall. So ricochets are going to be a big deal. And the leadoff batter here for Inman post 45 is going to step in. That's center fielder Luke Compton. And we're ready for baseball. The first pitch from Blackwell. It's going to clear around a bunt, pulls the bat back, and takes the first pitch off the outside corner for ball one. We're underway. We're early.
Ooh.
How many times do you ever say that? 12:57 p.m. in the beautiful city of Florence, South Carolina. 92 degrees. That pitch is swung on and a rifle shot into center field, but coming on the center fielder will make the catch. What a nice play by Carson Weathers. That ball was a scalded dog, but one up and one down here in the top of the first.
Yeah, I mean, Luke Compton got solid contact on that ball. Just unfortunately had a little too much air underneath it, as they say, and the center fielder was able to glide in, make the great play to start this game.
That'll bring up the second baseman, Jaron Metcalf. Blackwell with that hybrid stance. That pitch is a fastball off the outside corner. What I mean by that is he's not your traditional windup artist. The whole leg kick and over the head and all that stuff. He takes one step and he's in the rocking chair. The 1-0. That one looked like a changeup of some kind. Caught the outer half for strike one. That'll even up at a ball and a strike. Partly cloudy sky. A changeup of some kind. Caught the outer half for strike one. That'll even up at a ball and a strike. Partly cloudy skies here in the city that Mike Ritchie built. Beloved athletic director of Florence. That pitch, there's the breaking ball, swung on and missed. And he had Mr. Metcalf way out in front.
Yeah, Jaron is the grandson of Bill Metcalf, if that name rings a bell. He's a longtime head baseball coach at Chapman High School. So a little bit of a legacy there, if you want to call it that.
The Panthers, that pitch, check the swing. They do not appeal. The pitch was off the outside corner. I think that's a good call all the way around. 2 balls and 2 strikes. To Jaron Metcalf. The pitch swung on and missed. Something off speed and had him way out in front and swung way over the top of it. 2 up and 2 down for the gentleman that you can't wax poetic enough about. That would be Johan Rodriguez.
Yeah, Johan Rodriguez, one of a line of solid catchers that have recently come through Chapman High School, is a Charleston Southern signee. So he is not going a couple hours south of us here. Along the coast.
But a beautiful campus nonetheless. First pitch from Mr. Blackwell is popped up sky high, shallow right center field. Galloping into the gap will be the right fielder for Camden. That's Luke Duncan. And ABC 1-2-3 goes Inman post 45 in the top of the first. No runs, no hits, no errors, none left on base. We head to the bottom of the first inning. Inman nothing. Camden's coming up. Back in a moment here on the We Are Fort Mill Broadcasting Network. Way to the bottom of the first inning here at beautiful Francis Marion University Sparrow Stadium on the complex here that is absolutely gorgeous. $11.1 million it costs to build the facility. Just 11 years ago. You have that in your budget, right, Justin? That's a little
in
bit
my
out of my pay
dreams.
grade. Yes, but
Yeah.
this field looks phenomenal. And when we walked in this morning, just breathtaking. And
Yes.
I, of course, I went online and did the whole Google Earth thing of this facility, but the pictures don't do it justice.
No.
This is an absolute. It basically looks like a minor league ballpark. The dimensions are basically at that level: 330 down the lines, 375 to the powers, 400 to dead center. And oh, by the way, it's an 8-foot fence. And just when you get comfortable with that, not only is it 58 feet from home plate to the backstop, when you get about 100 feet down the foul lines, it goes from 58 feet down to 12
Ooh.
at a 45-degree angle,
Ooh.
and that's a 3-foot fence. So
That's a lot of geometry.
that is a lot of math, and we're not going to do math today. We made our promise that no more math. We're not going to do any more math.
I was told there'd not be a lot of numbers involved.
Well, somebody lied to you, that's for sure. Here's the defense for Inman Post 45. On the mound this afternoon, it'll be Corbin Childers out of Boiling Springs High School. The catcher is Johan Rodriguez. Your infield is third baseman Hudson Wilson. The shortstop is Perry Dyer. Your second baseman, Jared Metcalf. The first baseman, Caden Roach. The outfield from left to right for Coach Skinner, it'll be Kason Owens, Luke Compton, and Ricky Montevo. And leading off here for Camden, post 17 is going to be Kobe Evans. He'll be followed by Camden Watts and Jacob Morris. Camden wearing the all-white jerseys. Call me the get off my lawn guy, but that's old school, and I love it. The all-white from top to bottom. Love it.
As long as the jerseys are contrasting with the numbers, I'm good, where I can read them.
Have you seen Greer's jerseys?
Yes.
Unbelievable. The pitch swung on and popped up a mile high and foul out of play right.
I've seen photos of them, not in person.
So the junior jerseys, they're like a army green, right, with navy blue numbers outlined with a little tiny bit of red. Even with binoculars, you can't read them. The pitch swung on, and this one's popped up a mile high. It's going to stay in play. The catcher has to go make the play, and Rodriguez does because the first baseman couldn't see it. But there's the athleticism of Johan Rodriguez.
And you speaking of Rodriguez, something we didn't get to mention in the top half of the inning because he used ambush tactic on the first pitch he saw. He has more speed than what you would expect for a catcher.
He does, and he'll steal some bases on you. And that was a particular case where the first baseman for Inman Post 45, that's Caden Roach, he looked up in the sky. He couldn't find the baseball. So if Rodriguez didn't make that play, it wasn't going to get made. The pitch from Childress Gentleman's strike zone. 3-man umpire and crew, lots of experience on the field tonight. That pitch swung on and missed. There's the back foot breaking ball from Corbin Childers.
You were waiting on it.
Oh, you knew it was coming. You knew it was coming. I want to say hello to a special friend of mine after this pitch. The 1-1 swung on and tapper foul. Mike Ritchie, the beloved athletic director of Florence Post 1, checking in with us today. We appreciate that, sir. Also, Coach Jim Stegall, I would tell him to behave himself, but that'd be a waste of my breath. So we're not going to do that. A ball and 2 strikes to Camden Watts. Tried to get Camden to expand a strike zone, but wise to the move.
And something that I wanted to bring up about Childers very quickly. He struck out 13 in a game earlier this season in a road win over Buffalo.
I was going to say, are you going to follow it up with Fort Mill?
No.
Because you guys ended our season. Thanks for that.
No. Well, it was, Inman had 5 games that week because of a rainout. That previous week. It was the last week of the regular season, and Corbin gave him 6 solid innings, struck out 13. Can't ask for much more than that.
The 2-2 from Childers. Here it comes. Tried to bring that curveball around the outside corner. Now it does have glove side run. And so when it comes back towards a left-handed batter, it kind of comes around the outside. You remember Will Holmes for Boiling Springs?
Yes.
Basically, Childers is a right-handed version of Will Holmes. The pitch, fastball outside corner. The umpire flinched, but called it a ball. Looked like a good call to me. That's ball 4.
Yeah, the ball was slightly off, and the way Johan Rodriguez went to go frame it, he had to move a little too much with that forearm area to try and bring it back.
So the first base runner of the afternoon will bring up the 3-hole hitter, designated hitter, Jacob Morris. Jacob Morris out of Lugoff Elgin, home of the Demons. That pitch is swung on and hit high in the air, foul down the left field line. It did bang inside the fence, I should say, onto the warning track and just carry them into the bullpen. Now, the bullpens in this ballpark for both teams are kind of hidden a little bit. Now, Francis Marion, their home bullpen, this is heads up. They put bushes in front of it, so you can't see into it. But the visitors' bullpen, everybody and their second cousin can see that one. The pitch, fastball stays high and outside, 1-1. Somebody was thinking ahead.
Somebody's like, yeah, let's play a little psychological warfare. Yeah.
In baseball?
I love it.
The hell you say?
Let's play a little mind game with our opposition. Leave them out there in the open.
Pitch from Corbin, swung on and fouled straight back.
That one may have hit somebody, but nobody's shown any effects of it. The way it kicked all the way to the backstop. But yeah, you mentioned the deep backstop. Inman has a deep backstop at their home ballpark. So
it does.
Be a little bit acclimated in that regard. This one will probably play different.
Back foot breaking ball almost hit him. Jacob Morris took that one. Camden coach flashing the signs. They look complicated, but most of the time, they're really not.
Was it much ado about nothing?
Oh, it is. It usually is. The 2-2. His pitch. Tried the back foot breaking ball again. That one a lot closer to the zone, but very patient at bat here from Jacob Morris. That'll load the count. 3 balls and 2 strikes as more and more people pile in to Sparrow Stadium, home of the Patriots.
A member of Francis Marion, member of Conference Carolinas, a very outstanding conference at the Division II level.
And they've got the runner picked off at first base, and now going to try to run him down. They'll go to the shortstop. Now back to the pitcher, backed up by Rodriguez, but the runner is going to be safe. So that'll go as a stolen base. They had him down. You could charge an error there if you wanted to, but he was in movement first.
Yeah.
So you go with first movement and score that. How would you score that?
Stolen base.
Stolen base.
Because if it went over to get Rodriguez, that's where I would hit the error.
That's where you would do the the stolen base.
Just straight up steal.
Yeah. And I'm getting a thumbs up from the gentleman who is in charge to our right through the glass. We will keep his name private to protect the guilty and the innocent. But a big thanks to him for letting us yabber on the air this entire weekend. The pitch off the outside corner. Doesn't matter anyway. It's ball 4. First and second for Camden. Only one down for a very tough customer.
Inauspicious start for Childers. Last week he battled through a little bit of a finger injury. Not exactly sure the extent of it, but he was able to give Inman, I believe, 5 or 6 innings in that game. Kyle Dill came in and closed things down. Inman hoping to get a lot of length from Childers today, especially having to play their way out of the loser's bracket. They need as much length as they can from Childers today, especially having to play their way out of the loser's bracket. They need as much length as they can.
And we actually haven't talked about that. These two teams had a tough middle of the week. Pitch just off the outside corner, and he's missing, but he's missing by probably the width of the baseball.
Yeah. But nothing a double play ball can't fix if you're post 45.
No score, bottom of the first. Runners at first and second, 1 down. The pitch, fastball stays high. 2 balls and no strikes, and Justin just did this with his hand to say, get the ball down.
Yeah.
Because if you don't, Zane can send one out of here.
Yeah, it looks like Childers is a bit ramped up, as one would normally be.
Pitch from Corbin Childers, fastball high and inside, 3 balls and no strikes, and now home plate dancing all over the place for a pitcher who rarely walks anybody.
Yeah.
But you make a great point. This is the state tournament, even though technically the state tournament started before we got here to Florence, thus this an elimination game.
Yeah, nobody wants to go home.
The pitch, fastball high and inside, called ball 4, and that'll load the bases with only 1 out.
I would expect a visit to be coming forth for Inman.
So, and there comes the visit. almost like you knew what you were talking about. As time is called, there'll be a visit to the mound. So if you're the pitching coach for Inman here, what are you telling your pitcher?
Hey, first of all, just settle down. I get it, big game, but just remember you got a solid defense behind you that can turn a double play and get you out of this jam. And Inman did that. Had a week. There's like a 2 game span where they turned 4 or 5 double plays and a couple of key pitching performances for their staff. One of which was a no hitter thrown by Ricky Montalvo, who's out in right field today.
Mm.
It's his second. That was Ricky's actually second career no hitter of his entire baseball playing career. Some people are just lucky enough to have one. So
You do have to bring up the ugly duckling in the room,
Yeah.
and that is the 15-5 game against Rock Hill